my fellow actors and actresses and performers and writers and critics. They are told under pain of high treason that they cannot say a word about Ukraine.
The conflict between Russia and Ukraine has been going on for several months, and now rumors of a possible nuclear war have caused a frenzy on the internet. People from all walks of life, including a significant number of celebrities, have expressed their concerns on the prospect of a nuclear war in recent public statements. So what exactly are these celebrities saying? Number 11, Paddy McGuinness. The British actor took his thoughts about the nuclear war to Twitter, where he wrote, "Had to turn the news off for an hour to recalibrate. Frightening watching those Russian tanks rolling into the Ukraine. Can't imagine what the people who live there are going through. Really hope peace and a diplomatic solution prevails between the two countries." Number 10, Tim Young. Tim Young took to Twitter to talk about the impending nuclear war, where he tweeted, "A day closer to nuclear war, but no mean tweets." Number 9, Elon Musk. Tesla CEO Elon Musk said there is an increasing chance that the world could see a nuclear war as the Russian invasion of Ukraine continues to rage on. Nuclear war probability is rising rapidly. Musk wrote in response to a post in which he was mentioned by a Twitter user who praised the billionaire's suggestion to de-escalate the Russian conflict in Ukraine. In the original tweet, Twitter user Max Tegmark wrote, "Here's why I think now there's a 1 in 6 chance of an imminent global nuclear war and why I appreciate Elon Musk and others urging de-escalation." Musk had earlier made a public announcement on Twitter regarding a strategy that would bring peace to Ukraine and put an end to the conflict here. The CEO of Tesla offered several recommendations, one of which was for Ukraine to acknowledge Crimea, which was annexed by Moscow in 2014, as an integral part of Russia. Musk also proposed redoing elections of annexed regions under United Nations supervision, adding that Russia leaves if that is the will of the people, and for Ukraine to remain neutral. His proposal was tweeted as a poll and received a lot of mixed reactions, including criticism from Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky, who created a poll on Twitter asking, "Which Elon Musk do you like more?" In response to Zelensky's post, Musk tweeted, "I still very much support Ukraine, but I'm convinced that massive escalation of the war will cause great harm to Ukraine and possibly the world." On the other hand, Musk's plan was praised by Putin's spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, who welcomed the proposal and said that the Tesla CEO is still trying to look for ways to achieve peace. Number 8, Kim Kardashian. The 41-year-old reality TV star has also been vocal about the dangers of nuclear war several times in the past. The Armenian-American celebrity once called on the international community to defend Armenia from Azerbaijani attacks after Baku threatened to bomb the country's nuclear power plants. At the time, Kim took to social media to accuse the Azeris of ignoring the United Nations call for a global ceasefire and launching a series of unprovoked attacks against the Republic of Armenia. In a message to her millions of followers on Twitter, the reality TV star said at the time, "Civilian structures in Armenia have been targeted and Azerbaijani has now threatened to bomb the nuclear power plant in Armenia. The international community needs to pay attention and intervene now with such political and diplomatic measures to prevent unnecessary escalation and the loss of human life. I stand with my fellow Armenians and pray for those that are involved in recent tensions on the border of the country," she added, calling for a peaceful resolution for these unprovoked attacks. Seeing her previous campaigns against nuclear war, it is obvious that she still feels the same way about the Russia-Ukraine nuclear war. Number 7, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger posted a heartfelt 9-minute video message on Twitter in an attempt to punch through propaganda and speak directly to the Russian people about the war in Ukraine. Schwarzenegger said the Russian government's claim that it's attempting to denazify Ukraine was completely untrue, pointing out that Ukraine's president is Jewish and lost relatives in the Holocaust. The Russian government has lied not only to its citizens, but to its soldiers, he said. The action star and former California governor ended the video by speaking to Russians who have protested their country's invasion of Ukraine. "We know that you suffered the consequences of your courage," he said, adding, "You have been arrested, you've been jailed, and you've been beaten. You are my new heroes. You have the strength of Yuri Petrovich Vlasov. You have the true heart of Russia." Number 6, Holly Willoughby. After the coverage of the shocking, distressing scenes in Ukraine, Holly took to Instagram to ask her followers how she should tackle the subject with her children. Alongside a picture of a tank and soldiers, Holly, who shares daughter Belle and sons Chester and Harry James with husband Dan Baldwin, penned, "How do I explain this to my children? I was asked questions last night I didn't have the answers for." Number 5, Kate Beckinsale. Kate tagged the Stand With Ukraine Instagram account as she shared a post that revealed more than 40 Ukrainian soldiers and at least 10 civilians have already been killed by Russian forces. Number 4, Annie Lennox. Scottish singer Annie Lennox expressed her feels of what is next to come, writing on Instagram, "Now that the tanks, soldiers, and war machinery are on the brink of entering Ukraine, what now? The hell that warfare unleashes? A frenzy of bloodletting, crushing of flesh and bones, the collective trauma of suffering of pain, grief, anguish, and despair for innocent men, women, and children?" She then went on to add, "What kind of price must ordinary people pay for the nightmarish madness and brutality of invasion and warfare? Or is this just an elaborate hoax, a scare tactic, a threat? Apologies for this dark reflection, but I've had the privilege of living in a peaceful context since I was born, a decade after the end of World War II, 67 years in total. I don't take this for granted in any way and therefore find the notion of war to be unacceptable, repugnant barbarism. Sorry, friends, I just had to express this," Annie concluded. Number 3, Nicola Adams. Olympic boxer Nicola Adams shared a video in which a father in Ukraine was separated from his children after sending them to a safe zone in the country. Nicola wrote, "Now I'm about to be a parent. I can't even imagine how scary this would be. No to war." Number 2, Pope Francis. The Pope also addressed the nuclear war prediction on Twitter, saying, "Facing the danger of nuclear war, let us learn from history. Even 60 years ago, there were huge tensions, but the way of peace was chosen. As the Bible says, ask for the ancient past where the good way is and walk in it." Pope Francis had earlier on appealed to Russian President Vladimir Putin for a ceasefire, imploring him to stop the spiral of violence and death in Ukraine and denouncing the absurd risk of the uncontrollable consequences of nuclear attack as tensions sharply escalate over war. Francis uttered his strongest plea yet about the 7-month-old conflict, which he denounced as an error and a horror. The pontiff also called on Ukraine president to be open to serious peace proposals. Number 1, Jake Sullivan. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said that America and its allies will act decisively if Russia uses a tactical nuclear weapon in Ukraine. "We have communicated directly, privately, and at very high levels to the Kremlin that any use of nuclear weapons will be met with catastrophic consequences for Russia, that the U.S. and our allies will respond decisively, and we have been clear and specific about what that will entail," Sullivan told CBS. Sullivan said that the Russian leader had been waving around the nuclear card at various points throughout this conflict, and it was a matter that the American administration has to take deadly seriously because it is a matter of paramount seriousness, the possible use of nuclear weapons for the first time since the Second World War. "We will continue to support Ukraine in its efforts to defend its country and defend its democracy," Sullivan added. Several Russian cultural figures have also made statements against the war. Soviet crimes went unpunished in Russia, and so they recur. The price for what was not done in 1991 are the Russian missiles and bombs killing Ukrainians today, Sergei Lebedev, author of Untraceable, wrote. "It is too early to ask Ukrainians to forgive us," he added. "We will ask for forgiveness after the criminals who began this war are punished, if they are punished." Yelena Kovalskaya, director of the Meyerhold Theater Center, announced her resignation from the State Theater, saying, "It is impossible to work for a murderer and receive salary from him. I will finish the work I've started, but without pay." Now we would love to hear from you. Do you agree with what these celebrities are saying? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.